Now, from a branding perspective, some people have found that Twitter is one of the most difficult social networks to really understand the audience because there's so many different types of people. They've been able to be successful with messaging on Facebook and Instagram, but what do you suggest as far as messaging on Twitter to build more engagement?
Okay. So a couple of things that I've done is that it allows me to connect directly with specific personalities. So say, for instance, media outlet, I can go to a Facebook fan page that they have, but it's a lot harder for me to get that direct feedback from them. So I have found that if I tweet a specific media personality, it's a lot, the probability or likelihood of them responding back is a lot higher than me just going and posting on the Facebook fan page. So I found that I can make direct connections with people of influence, and so I definitely try to make sure that I do that. I try to use it as a way to be able to be a way where I can post consistent content that shows that I want to build myself kind of as a thought leader in this space. So I have about 12,000 people, not a whole lot, but there are quite a few people following me. So now I can potentially leverage that because, say, for instance, if someone is looking for speakers to come to different conferences, in many cases, they're going to look at their social capital. They're going to look at how many people are following, because, again, they know that they'll be able to share with their community that they're coming to this event. And so I would say I would start out and share more about other people than you do about yourself, and I would share current events that relate back to stuff in market people in the niche or industry. So if someone was doing searches, they could find, okay, he or she is talking about this stuff in this area consistently. And also I would try to make sure that there was some kind of tie-in to what's happening locally. Like for me, I'm in Detroit, so I'm going to talk about stuff that relates back to the bankruptcy and try to position myself so I can be one of the people that people are interested in my thoughts that relates back to that.
Yeah, it's a common technique used by a lot of big Twitter influencers because you're getting people to follow you because not just of your thought, but also that you're aggregating news or aggregating information so that people can keep an eye on you because you're pulling information that they might be interested in. It's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, I never forget, this was a couple of years ago. Right after the Super Bowl, it was when Chrysler did the commercial with Eminem. I did a blog post on it. I tweeted on it, and then one of our local news channels was looking for, I guess they consider me young people that were talking about, stuff that related back to the city and about the Super Bowl. And it was the timeliness of just having posted that a news anchor saw it, and then it got me on TV. So again, you never know who's watching, and people will start doing searches for keywords. I will think about using certain hashtags as well. So when people are looking for information, your information can be pulled up.
It's great advice. We've got a number of people who are experts in their field, and they do a lot of presentations at industry conferences, and they may have a lot of content, maybe having the slides or even recordings of that they may want to expose parts of that without necessarily giving away everything that they have for free. So how would you suggest increasing visibility as a thought leader without giving away that knowledge for free?
Yeah. So what you could do is that you could do kind of like what musicians do, where it could be a snippet. So it doesn't have to be a whole presentation, or it could just be maybe one presentation. Like I have, I think, about 3 or 4 presentations in SlideShare that are older presentations, but they're presentations that have gotten something like 20,000 views on each. And so now I can go back to people, and so if someone looks, they can see, well, wow, somebody or people are seeing some kind of value in the information because it's been downloaded X number of times. So part of it is that you want people to be able to experience what it is that you've done, right? So just imagine if you're in SlideShare and your presentation gets selected as presentation of the day. Some of that goes to just how the slides look and having a great cover, and it gets a lot of views, and so now there's some opportunity there. So what I would say is that you have to put enough out there so that people want to spend money with it. once you get to the point to where you're a household name and you can charge $30,000 to go speak, then you might not have to have as much out there. But again, I like to look at it as a funnel. So there has to be something at the base level to where people can experience you and there's no cost, right? And you have information out there, and then so you have to figure out how much information is enough. But I would say if I was in a presentation space, I would definitely use that. If you have a white paper, you can use something called DocShop, where you can post white papers. And so again, you can determine, if you only want to post part of it out there, or if you want to do. So again, some of it is this is your opportunity to be able to get out, so your information is searchable, and you want to make sure that people can find something about you that relates back to some of the good work. So you just kind of determine what your comfort level is.
Sure. So building your own brand, it takes a long time to build it up, but the reality is on the web, it's very easy to damage your brand. It takes a lot of work to kind of fix that over time. So as people start to build their brands, do you have any recommendations of things that they should watch out for? A common mistake in the past has been that people think of Facebook, their personal Facebook pages, as not really related to their brand, but in fact it has a pretty heavy impact. So things like that, what are some other things that are things to watch out for, things that could damage your brand, and mistakes that people generally make as they go through this?
Something to think about. I think sometimes people say the first thing that comes to their mind. And there are times where I want to say something, but I kind of pull back. The other thing is you have to be very, you have to think a lot about, there are certain political or highly charged issues that are out there, and you have to determine whether you want to jump in and be a part of that conversation. The reason that I say that is that it could cost you business, right? Because again, if you work with, I work with a lot of multinational companies, so they are for everything. So again, I'm very thoughtful in what I share and what I don't share, because again, I know it could impact our ability to be able to do business together. You should also think about, and we had this conversation before you guys actually got on. We talked about just the things that you like, the things that you follow, or the people that you follow. Let me give you some examples. So if someone goes to your Facebook page and you are liking stuff that's really interesting or strange, they'll form an opinion. I read this article the other day that talks about Newt Gingrich, where they looked back at his Twitter account, and I believe it's something like 92% of the accounts that were followed were fake accounts. So now, what would be the perception of a political candidate that had the majority of the people that were following him were or her were not real? There was another example of I think of a business leader or someone who was following, who happened to be an actual gentleman, and it was following a lot of women that were half naked, on their profile.
Sure.
And so again, people form opinions based upon the stuff that you like, the stuff that you share, the people that you're connected to. The reality is that these are things that people have to think about, where you might just follow somebody back automatically, or you might just follow them because you think that they look good or whatever. But you have to think about, how does this impact the perception that people will have?
Sure, and for some people that may seem very limiting, but as a either an independent consultant or as a small business or startup, that perception is, if it's a bad perception, it limits your ability to provide services to your customers. So it really goes back to what your priority is online. Is it a personal display, or is it something to support your ongoing business? And that's a choice for everybody.
Yeah, and I'll throw this example. Sheryl Sandberg, which I'm sure most of us know, she's, I believe, the COO of Facebook. So she recently came out with a book called Lean In, which is really about equality for women, and trying to make sure that there's more of a level playing field. There was recently a post in Facebook that they were looking for an unpaid internship, right? And so the firestorm of issues, because they're like, okay, you're talking about equality for women, and now you don't want to pay someone to be an intern. Right. And so then they had to address that. So again, people look at this information, and you have to understand they're going to form opinions.
And you can't control what that opinion's going to be either.
No, and And you can't just go in and just erase it just because that creates another issue, which Nestle had to deal with. So.
Yep. Well, Hodge, that's our time. Would you mind going to the next slide there?
Okay. Yep. There we go. We'll go to last.
There we go. Yeah, Hodge, thank you so much for your time today. This has been great. Fantastic amount of information. It's just been information packed. Again, we're going to be emailing out the webinar and the slides next week to everybody, so those who are listening, you will get that. If you have any other questions about MBO Partners, you can email us at info@MBOPartners. Come to our website, MBOPartners.com, follow us on Twitter, and you can even sign up for our monthly newsletter that comes out. Appreciate everybody getting on, and we look forward to hearing you in our next webinar. And Hodge, thank you again. That was an excellent webinar. Thanks. Great information-packed webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a great time. Thank everyone. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me in LinkedIn. I would love to stay connected, and I will answer some questions that have actually come through Twitter as well.
Great. Thanks, Hodge. Everybody have a great rest of your day.